Let's get this party started. Stu, when you escape, there is a wire behind you. So be aware.
Hi, everybody. We're going to get started here in just a second. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jeff Sailing. I'm one of the co-founders at Startup ND, and we like to put on these lunch and learns once a month with awesome speakers who teach us awesome things. And I'm going to introduce Liz Heiman here in just a minute. But before I do, I want to also make everybody in the room aware that Lou Manna is right back there in the very back. For those of you who don't know Lou, he will make you look awesome, just as best as you can. He's doing professional headshots in the next room right after our session here. It's $85 with full touch-ups and all that stuff. So no matter how you think you look, Lou will make you look better. I'm super happy to bring Liz Heiman up, and I'm so glad that she's here talking to us today. So she's the sales leadership coach and the director of strategy, or the chief strategy officer at Liz Heiman. At Alice Heiman, LLC. She's a sales and marketing strategist, and she helps B2B companies grow rapidly by defining their strategy and helping them to create a sales organization around that strategy to help them grow really fast. It's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. So please, everybody, we are so lucky to have Liz here talking.
Okay. Hi. Welcome to Position Your Company for Success. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. So we're going to talk about positioning maybe a little differently and in a couple different ways than you're used to talking about it. So I think we're going to have some fun. I'm Liz Heiman, and my passion is making sure that sales is not a mystery, that it's something that is in control and under control in your company, and that it's predictable and understandable and manageable. And so while we're not going to get into all of those details today, I'm going to share some secrets with you that will help make that true in your company. So positioning your company for success, what does that mean? What does it mean to you? What does positioning mean? Oh, wait, by the way, I should warn you, this is an interactive activity. I'm really bad at just standing up and talking, so you guys get to help me out. So tell me, when you think of positioning, what did you think you were going to come here about today? Yeah.
I would say identifying how you fit within the market that you're selling within.
So typically when we think about positioning, we think about market position, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. What else might you think about?
I usually think of defining super clearly who you serve, how you serve them, and being able to state it.
So your ideal customer profile and your value proposition, which are things we're going to talk about today. Those are all about positioning. What else might you talk about?
Visibility.
Visibility, yes. Yeah, Bryn. Differentiation, yep. Good. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about a couple of things that you probably wouldn't expect. So we're going to talk about positioning your company and your products properly in the market. We're going to talk about positioning your solutions in relationship to your customers' problems. We're going to talk about positioning yourself and your sales team with your customer. And we're going to talk about positioning in the sales funnel, which people often don't think about as positioning, but it's critically important in a sales environment. So we want to talk about who's buying and why they're buying. Just not where I thought I was going to be, but okay. So let me ask you a question. Did you ever just were walking around, taking a walk, doing your daily stuff, and said, oh my goodness, I need a 3/4 inch bolt?
Yes, I
That would make me so happy. Really, think about all the things you could do with it. You could put it in your pocket and just carry it around. You could put it in that junk dish that sits on the, on the TV stand or in your junk drawer and keep it there and cherish it. Right? How many of you are going to do that? Why would you buy a 3/4 inch bolt?
To screw it into the wall.
But not just to screw, you'd have to have a reason to screw it into something, right? So you wouldn't just one day go out to Ace Hardware in search of a 3/4 inch bolt, because that's what I need. So when we talk about our products, we often talk about it. I have this really great 3/4 inch bolt. It's so cool. And it's just the right size. And it's made of titanium or steel or copper. Right? Is that how you buy? Is that why you buy? Why do people buy? They don't just one day go, I need a CRM. That's what I want. Why do people buy? They need. They have what? A problem. Or sometimes it's not a problem, it's an opportunity. But we often think about having a solution. I have a solution to your problem. I don't have a 3/4 inch bolt because you've already expressed to me the fact that you really don't want a 3/4 inch bolt. However, if you had something that needed to be attached together that required a 3/4 inch bolt, you had a problem that required a 3/4 inch bolt, you would want one really badly, and you'd be willing to have a conversation with me about it. So when we talk to people, we really need to understand why they buy. They are not buying because they want my product. They don't want my product. Don't care about my product, could care less about the specs. What do they care about?
Solving their problem.
Yeah, they care about themselves and their problem. And do you have something that solves my problem? And if you do, how does it solve my problem? And that's what we call a value proposition. So we're going to talk more about value propositions in a little bit, but a value proposition is essentially, how do you solve my problem? So we always want to think about, when we're thinking about positioning, the core question here is, why do people buy? All right. So then the next thing is the who matters. Okay. So why, look, if you came to me and said, Liz, I got the coolest 3/4 inch bolt in the entire world, I would not know it from a 5/8 or a 1 inch or a, I mean, you could talk to me all day about 3/4 inch bolts. Would I care? In fact, if I said, I have this thing and it needs to be bolted together, and you said, oh, that's a 3/4 inch bolt, would I care? No, I could care less. Will it fit in this hole? Great. How do I screw it in? Because I don't have the right tool to do that with. So who you're talking to matters. And we're going to talk today about a couple of things in terms of the who. We're going to talk about your ideal customer profile. We're going to talk about your target list, and we're going to talk about buyers and personas. And I want to stop for just a second. How many of you in this room have a complex sale, meaning that you're selling something business to business and you have multiple buyers involved in the buying decision? Okay, so some of you do not, and that's okay. So some of the things I say may not apply directly to what you're doing, but the overall concepts will. So just bear with me if all of a sudden you're going, I don't have that problem. That's okay, just stick with me a minute, we'll get past it and on to the next topic. But that's what we're gonna talk a little bit about, the individual buyers. So let's go back to the who. The who. So I have a motorcycle that I need to sell. I think this, what do they call these things?
Crotch rocket.
Oh yeah, that's what they call them, a crotch rocket, right? So I got this and I need to sell it and I need to figure out who my ideal customer is. So what if I pick this guy? Is he gonna buy it? No.
That was too cheap.
What's gonna happen if I try to talk to Harley dude over here?
He's gonna have to buy a Speedo.
He's not buying a Speedo. He's not buying a red suit that's all leather and has the little, knee bends and pads, and he's not buying that, right? So he's gonna look really silly on my Honda in his outfit, right? It just doesn't go together. But I mean, I take this as a point because it's really clear and obvious to see, but we do this in our business all the time. We are not really clear. Well, it's somebody, they buy motorcycles. I sell motorcycles. It's a perfect fit. I sell to anybody who buys motorcycles. Do you really sell to anybody who buys motorcycles? Because I don't think so. So we need to be really clear about the who. Who would really buy from us? Who would really benefit from what we're selling? Those conversations, by the way, are a whole lot easier than this one, which I totally would not want to be having. Not fun, right? I mean, it might be kind of fun, it might be kind of funny, but it certainly wouldn't get you any business and it would be a waste of time. So I want to focus for a few minutes on your ideal customer profile, because I think starting with the who is a really good place to start. So when you hear ideal customer profile, what does that make you think? What's an ideal customer?
You have a need.
They have a need, that's a good start. They actually would have a need for what I'm selling. They might not know they have a need for what I'm selling, right? That's one of our problems. What else do you think of when you hear ideal customer? What?
Someone you can reach.
Someone I can reach, I can have a conversation with.
Someone who can afford their services.
Somebody who can afford it. Thank you, Liz.
They need a lot.
Somebody who's driven to be part of the solution.
Somebody who wants to be part of it.
They need a lot of it.
Hopefully they need a lot of it.
And they're aligned with what it is you're selling.
They're aligned.
Whereas they believe in it, it's something they're interested in.
There's a match. So let's go back for a second. Alignment?
No.
Okay. Okay, so an ideal customer is somebody who needs what you buy, somebody who shares some belief system, some commonalities about how they believe they run a business or how they believe you fit into society. There's some alignment between what they're doing. If you already have a company that's up and running, there's a really great way to figure out who your ideal customer is. How do you suppose that is?
People that
Ask your already customer.
So that's a good start. Who's currently buying from you? What else might you look at?
What are they buying?
What are they buying? Are they buying one thing or multiple things, right? Brent?
How you feel when you work with them.
How do you feel when you work with them? Like when you're making that sale, the whole time you want to pull your hair out?
Who's not buying?
Who's not buying from me? And why aren't they buying? How about profitability? How's that?
Great.
How about length of your sales cycle?
Work.
Important. So if I can find the customers that are already in my customer bank and I go, look, this sale was pretty easy to make. It was pretty profitable sale. The onboarding went really great. They really love us. They're easy to work with. They keep buying more and referring us to other people, and they continue to be profitable. How's that for an ideal customer?
We like that.
Do we want more? Oh, yeah. We want lots and lots and lots of those. And what we don't want, what don't we want?
A long sales.
We don't want a really long sales cycle. These got normal sales cycle 6 months. These guys took 2.5 years. Now,
Start.
what?
And meanwhile, you're going broke.
Yeah, meanwhile, you're going broke because you spent all this money selling to them. If they're not profitable, if they're constantly on the phone because things don't work and things don't fit and it's broken and they're angry, these are not good customers. We don't want to repeat that. So we want to make sure that as we're positioning ourselves in the marketplace, that we are positioning ourselves with our ideal customer, right? We don't want to position ourselves with the whole world. We want to position ourselves with our ideal customer. When you try to talk to the whole world, who do you talk to?
Nobody.
No one. So let's figure out who's our ideal customer, and let's figure out how to position ourselves with that. Let's figure out how to create language that resonates with that. Because again, back to my favorite guy here, I really like this. I like him. We're going to be buds. If I'm messaging to him and I'm selling that, something's really wrong. Okay. So This and that don't show the same thing. So you want to know your customer. You want to know whether, so stop and think backwards. Am I selling to business or am I selling business to consumer? That's the first big question that you need to be clear about. Maybe you have two different divisions in your company and you do both. Is the messaging going to be the same? Is the positioning going to be the same? Not necessarily. So think about that. It might matter what industry. If you're selling business to business, it might matter what industry they're in or what vertical we use, right? It might matter what the geography is, whether this is a B2B or a B2C sale. Are you just selling in Reno? Are you selling on the West Coast? Do you sell all over the world? Do you find that you do really well in New York? Does that geography impact what you're doing? Size of the company might really matter and it might not. I like selling to startup and mid-sized companies, not really enjoying enterprise sales and enterprise relationships. So that size really matters to me. Does it matter to you? Is it important? Does that help you define your ideal customer? And then technology. So if you have a technology solution, it might have to coordinate or work with technology they're already using. So you might want to find that out and keep that in your list of criteria. What other kinds of things might you want in your ideal customer profile or criteria? Yeah.
Warm introductions.
Oh, we love that when we can get a warm introduction. So if we're in a vertical where we have lots of relationships, that might be a great place to be because people can introduce us. Yeah.
When in their cycle do they need you?
Right. So do we want to have customers that call us at the last minute after they've already made their decision, or do we want to work with customers and bring them through the process and get them to make a really good buying decision? So I'm working with a customer right now who's struggling with that. All of their leads come in at the very end of the sales cycle, which means they have no ability to predict, no control, no management, it's just like, okay, it's here, let's build it. And that's a really hard way to sell. So if people are willing to come to you earlier in the process, that might be a better fit. Anything else that matters to your company? Okay. So when we're thinking about ideal customer, we want to think about two different things. We want to think about the demographics, the right size, the right industry, the right technology, the right geography, maybe even the right philosophy. If it's a very out in the open kind of thing, we are environmentally conscious, or we're really into high tech and cutting edge, that those things might matter. But we also want to think about other factors like, how's their cash flow? You might not know this when you first get talking to them, but you might want to know that before you commit to $1 million product with them, right? $1 million sale. Do they have employee continuity? Is this going to mean that every 6 months you got to retrain people? Growth trajectory. Are they growing? Are they staying the same? Are they losing traction? What's happening with them? What are their relationships like with their vendors? How do they talk about their vendors? What kind of values do they have in their company? Are they customer focused? Are they product focused? Are they all about just making money? What are they like? What matters to them? Are there any others that you can think of that you might want to attract or avoid?
Are they related to, or what do I actually mean? Do they know people who would also be a client?
Yeah, can they bring you referrals? When you can get customers who can get you more customers, that's way better than getting a customer who's going to be a sole customer, right? So we want to think about this ideal customer profile is really important, again, because it's how you're going to position yourself in the marketplace. So spend the time thinking about these things, building out your ideal customer profile and understanding who it is you want to sell to, who it is that would buy from you, and how do you want to talk to them? How do you want to present to them? Once you've done that, so we think we're done. Okay, I've got my ideal customer profile and I'm done. I'm going to sell to all these kinds of companies. And maybe I've narrowed it down, did all the things Liz said, narrowed it down, got rid of all the junk. And there's 10,000 companies that fit that criteria. That's a lot. So how are you going to prioritize your time or the time of your salespeople? Well, the best way to do it is to create a target prospect list, which means you're taking that list of 10,000 or whatever it is, and you're prioritizing them. We want this one because they've got a really recognizable name and we'd like to leverage that. We want this one because we think there's great growth potential. We could start here and then it can grow a lot. We want these because they're such a perfect fit and they're really easy to work with. And you make a list depending on the size of your company and the resources that you have available, and you decide how many prospects, prospects on that target list am I going to, is it 10, is it 20, is it 100? It's not 10,000. Because even if you were sending out letters all day long, it would just be a waste of time because it's too broad. You're gonna narrow down your specifications. So I have this ideal customer profile, let's really focus. Maybe I could sell to all 4 of these industries, but maybe we just start with this one. Let's just start with hospitals, because then I can put all my focus into one area and get really good at it, and then I can expand, right? Focus, narrowing. I'm not saying you're not going to sell to those later, but make your target list so you can really focus and prioritize and position yourself with those companies, with those industries. Prioritize, and then key. This goes to both sales and marketing. So if you have a sales and marketing team, you want to be sure that everybody's got this list and is focused on it and prioritizing it. Okay. So now I want to think about the sales roadmap for a second. If you want your sales team to be successful, they need to understand where they're going on this path. And this, it doesn't sound like it, but this is really all about positioning. You want your sales team well positioned for success. So, roadmap. What does that mean? It means that I have created and explained my vision and my mission, and that everyone on my team is really clear not only about what it is, where we're going, but how they fit into it. That I have my market positioning, so I know, and my salespeople know, how are we positioned in the marketplace? And we're going to go over what that means in just a second. That I have a really clear sales strategy, that I am positioned with the right buying influences, or my sales team is, and that we understand the funnel stages and we have our leads positioned properly in the funnel to continue to drive revenue into the organization. So we're going to talk about all of these different things. So the first is a clear vision. So what is a vision? This is one of those times you get to talk to me. What's a vision? Why does it matter?
An objective, it's where you're planning on going.
It's where you're planning on going. Tell me a little bit more about vision.
How you see yourself.
How you see yourself. How you see your company. How you see your team. How you see your customers. Yeah, go ahead.
I always consider in the brand world for it to kind of be intentionally creating what you want to create. So really clearly stating we work with exactly this kind of person, we solve exactly this problem. No matter what product we come out with, we're always going to be in the business of solving this problem for this person, so that you can kind of clearly go there without getting distracted and without swerving and dipping and diving and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I can articulate clearly, this is what I imagine. I imagine a company that is doing this successfully with these kinds of people and changing lives in this way. And I imagine we have stores all over the world, and we have a factory, and we have, we're constantly upgrading our technology and growing and changing and bringing our customers with us to success, right? I have this story that I can clearly articulate, and my salespeople can say, oh, I get that. I want to be a part of that. I'm going to bring our customers along. What happens when your salespeople don't know what your vision is? I can tell you what happens because I've experienced. I used to work for a company called Miller Heiman, and we would teach sales process to Fortune 500 sales organizations. These were the best in the country, right? Hewlett-Packards and NCRs and Coca-Colas, right? And somewhere along the way, with almost every program I ever taught, the salespeople would stop and go, well, this is all really great, but, like, but what? Well, you should hear what management is doing now. So we sell this, we sell it really successfully, and now they're going to stop selling that. And so now I have to go reposition with my customers and sell them something they don't really want. Does this sound like a salesperson who is really clear about your vision, sees where you're going, is part of it and excited about it? Now, this is somebody who's irritated and isolated and frustrated. Right?
Disgruntled.
It's really important. We tend to think about vision as being something that's, oh, this is part of our strategy. It doesn't affect sales, but it does. And it affects your positioning. What happens when your salespeople walk into your customers and say, well, we're not going to sell that anymore, but this is really cool. Or they say, hey, you know what? We're not going to sell this anymore, and here's why. This technology is going away, and this is the direction the world is going to be going, and we want you on the cutting edge of this technology and this future. We want you to be there with us. We want to help you be ahead of your competition. And we're really excited about doing this. And that's a much better place. And I, as a salesperson, can position myself in that conversation, right? As opposed to, I don't even know what to say to these people who are going to be so disappointed. So vision is not something touchy-feely out there that doesn't matter. Vision is something really core to your business and to the people in it, to your marketing team, to your sales team, to your production team, to everybody. So these are a couple things to think about. What do you hope to achieve? What are you creating? How big is it? How many employees? How much revenue? How many clients? How many locations? Think it through. Make it clear. Draw a picture. Make a graph, an infographic. Do something so your team goes, yeah, I get it. I get where we're going. I see this. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is mission. So again, mission is one of these things we think about, oh, mission, we have that all written on the wall somewhere, and that's all marketing mumbo jumbo, but it's not. Mission is really important. What do we do and why do we do it? Who do we do it for? And when you think about it in terms of the things that we've been talking about, what do you sell? Not what, but what is it the solution to what problem, right? Because then if the what changes, but the problem remains the same, but how we solve it changes, you're still okay. Who do you sell it to? This is your ideal customer, right? Not everybody, just your ideal customer. And why do you do it? What is the value that it brings to your customers, to the world, to the economy, to the environment? What's the value? If your team understands this and owns this, they can now effectively position themselves in a conversation proudly and honestly. No guessing, no telling stories, no making it up as they go along, which, by the way, salespeople do regularly. We just make stuff up. If we don't know the answer, we just make something up that sounds really good that the customer will buy. You don't want them doing that. Okay, so here's another question for you, and this has to do with market position. Do you ever walk into a store to buy a pair of tennis shoes or sneakers, or we used to call them sneakers when I was growing up by the East Coast. Tennis shoes, walking shoes, running shoes. And you're like, wow, that's a lot of shoes. How do you pick which one you want?
Color.
Color. So it might just be color. What? Fit. I might try on all these different pairs of shoes to figure out which one fits. There's only, 70 on this wall and 150 on that wall.
Intended use.
What am I going to use it for? So do I want a cross trainer? Do I want a court shoe? Do I want a running shoe? Do I want a walking shoe? But there's something else. All these shoes have a brand. And that brand has an identity or a positioning. Tell me about some of the brands. Nike. What's Nike's positioning in this marketplace?
Athletic wear.
Athletic wear. What does it say under their suit.
Just do it.
Just do it. What does that mean?
Nike.
There you go.
Solution to all of your athletic needs.
Yeah, this is,
Actually, they're coming out on the new one, just find your inner athlete. That's what's like.
which is different, right? Which is really different because just do it is for anybody and find your inner athlete is for somebody who really thinks they have an inner athlete, which I don't. So that would not talk to me. I'm so over Nike because they used to talk to me. Right? Nike used to say, just do it, Liz, just do it. That's their positioning. You can just do it. Go put one of those shoes on, go get that top, and go do it. Who cares if you know how? Just go do it. Now they're like, find your inner athlete. Ooh, no, thank you. Not for me. Yeah. No, I'm a dancer. I'm not an athlete. Okay, and they don't make shoes for me. So what other brands are there? Brooks, what does Brooks do?
Old people.
Old people. Okay, so somebody perceives Brooks as positioning themselves for older people. What else does Brooks do? Somebody said running. They're running shoes. That's how they position themselves in their market. We are the running shoes you need. Not Nike, which is just do it. Whatever you dreamed of, we have the shoe. We have the outfit. Just go do it. Different place. Who else is there?
Maybe Adidas.
Adidas, Asics. Asics is what? Running. Adidas is what?
Competitor to Nike.
Court shoes and what? It's a competitor to Nike, but they don't position themselves that way. How do they position themselves in the market?
Nike focuses on basketball, Adidas focuses on soccer. That's the only thing I can do.
Adidas does focus on soccer.
Soccer and court, right? Tennis. Okay, so they position themselves in the market. They may sell everything, but here's what I want you to think of when you think of me.
But they can also get some help from their demographic. Be an influencer, be an athlete, a brand ambassador, to drive that positioning, which dictates the brand to the consumer.
Right, but I pick who I want to be my spokesperson to help position me. Sometimes I just pay somebody because I think that people will buy. But
my 19-year-old daughter wanted Nike versus Brooks.
right.
Because she didn't verbalize it like you did, but that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
You don't get to pick the customers like Brooks, right? So Brooks paid the price for having old people like their shoes.
I'm not wearing the same shoes as grandma. But I have to tell you a story that's so funny. I should have a picture of it up on the wall. I'm going to put it up there next time. So I have a picture of my daughter and my mother. So my daughter's in her early 20s and my mom is in her mid 80s. And they're wearing almost the identical shoe. One is a Keds and the other is Vans. They look almost identical. I posted it on Facebook and said, which is grandma and which is daughter? Almost nobody could tell. The young people knew, but nobody else knew. They looked exactly the same to them. They're a little different, right? But to my daughter, there's no way she would ever wear the Keds. They are not cool. I'm telling you, right next to each other, same color, same laces, same shape, same size. Anyway, positioning. So how do you want the world to perceive you? That's really, okay, come on, you can do it. You can. Whoops. It's going backwards now. Oh, that's because I have it upside down. What's wrong? Should have written up instructions for me. Okay, I'm not putting it down again. Okay, so where do you fit in the market? How do you want your customer to perceive you? Are you the high-tech solution? Are you the environmentally conscious solution? Are you the luxury brand? Are you the everyday Joe solution? Are you simple? Are you cutting edge? What are you? Tell me. Kind of just yell it out. Where do you position yourself? What are the words you use so that your customer understands where you fit in the marketplace? Fun.
Adventurous.
Adventurous.
What
Being
is
smart.
simple? When you say simple.
Whatever you want it to mean. These are just examples of things people might say.
Okay.
So you are what? How do you position yourself in the marketplace? Why you? Give me one. Oh, I put him on the spot. Okay. Creative. I'm a creative, the creative solution.
Logical.
Logical solution. Fast solution. Powerful.
Cost effective.
Cost effective. How are you positioned in the marketplace? I'll tell you, a really interesting study was done about 10 years ago. And they brought people into the room and they flashed a logo up on the wall. And the first logo they flashed up was IBM. And the people, when they were asked questions and given problems, their solutions were very cautious. They were very traditional. They were very strict. They were very blue, right? They were IBM blue.
Big blue.
Big blue. And then they flashed up Apple. And they asked them a series of questions. What happened to the way they answered?
The opposite.
They got creative. They got cutting edge, out of the box, fun. How much does your brand and the way you've positioned your brand in the marketplace impact whether or not people feel like you're the right person for them to work with?
It's everything.
It's everything. Okay, so think about this. Positioning matters. How do you want to be positioned? Okay, so, okay, I'm not putting this down. So this woman is clearly very thirsty. In fact, she's so thirsty that she's gotten the Gatorade all over her face, which I'm having a hard time understanding. But nonetheless, she's really thirsty.
She's actually sweating Gatorade.
She's sweating Gatorade? Okay. Okay, all that aside for a moment, we're going to think about value proposition here. So this woman is so thirsty that she's chosen to drink Gatorade. Why?
To replace her electrolytes.
Oh, she's got to replace her electrolytes.
Even though that's not why 90% of people that buy Gatorade,
Why do they buy it?
hangovers actually. They've done studies to show that it's largely hangovers followed sports is like the bare bones bottom. Are you serious?
That's hysterical.
Studies.
That's hysterical. Okay, so she's so thirsty. I'm going to just pretend you didn't say that and keep going.
Clearly it's hangover.
She has such a bad hangover that she went for a run, right? Okay, so she's so thirsty, she's not having water, she's having Gatorade. So what's Gatorade's value proposition?
Quench your thirst.
What?
Quench your thirst, yeah.
Quench your thirst.
It was positioned as at the moment of sweat is how we positioned it at Quaker when we owned it.
At the moment
Did you
of
do the
sweat.
study about the hangover use cases?
That's usually, it's a really small percentage of people who use it, but there's some
For
interesting
sports,
studies.
yeah.
The higher the temperature goes, it's actually based a lot on temperature.
It's always fun to have Liz Goodgold in the room. You never know what she knows.
Well, it was created by a team at the University of Florida and high humidity environment for extreme or competitive sports. And then it became a mass-produced product that has a lot of sugar and actually has counter effects for the everyday person. But
Yeah.
Okay, so, but I believe, what?
Hangovers use Pedialyte.
Yeah, there you go. So, but the point is that I believe that my children should have Gatorade at their soccer game, not water. I believe that because they have a value proposition, which is for me, if you're a really good mom, you'll make sure that your kids get these electrolytes back into their body after the soccer game. So I don't know what. So
30
something.
seconds on the field just really.
Really wore them out.
I want a cup of coffee.
Yeah. My daughter was one of those soccer players. Oh, I kicked it once, your turn.
Yeah. Time for snacks. Time for snacks.
Okay, so I just wanted to give you a visual because I want you to really think about why do people make the buying decisions that they make. And we've talked about this. I don't just buy a 3/4 inch bolt because I want to put it in my pocket and walk around with it, right? So your value proposition is, what problem does your customer have? How do you solve it? And the important part is, how is what you're doing different or better, more importantly, for the customer that you're selling to? Not for the world, for the customer that you're selling to, for your ideal customer. So, someone be brave. What problem does your customer have?
They want to write a book.
That's not the problem. My customer wants to write a book, and what's their problem?
The problem is that they can't do it.
They don't know how.
They don't know how.
They don't know how. Takes a lot of time. Okay,
They're
so,
intimidated. They don't have confidence.
okay, so I want to write a book, don't know how, frustrated, intimidated.
Right.
So how do you solve that?
By engaging them and figuring out about what their background, by sending them an author questionnaire and figuring out what it is that they want.
So I walk them through the process.
Right, exactly.
I walk them through the process of writing their book.
And I talk to them about it.
And I
listen.
And I listen. Okay. So how is that a good solution for your customers, and why is it better than another solution? So one other solution might be to struggle through writing the book yourself.
Right.
One might be to
Hire a ghostwriter.
hire a ghostwriter.
Yeah, that can work too. You'd have to be the right person.
So why is this solution better for your customer?
Oh, because it's better for them because it's engaging them and getting them to believe that they can be creative. And
So by being a part of the process of developing your book and having support while you do it, you're going to end up with a really fabulous book that sells
right.
for a price you can afford. Something like that?
Right.
Yeah. Rusty, go ahead.
I'm going to slightly disagree. If they wanted to be a writer, that would be the way to go. If you want to end up with a book,
Which so many of us do.
goal to me, but by engaging them, what I'm hearing, maybe a little cheaper than a ghostwriter, and I can get going faster. Saves time.
That's true. I got a customer like that. They just want to write the book and that's all they want.
There are lots of people that just want a book. I want a book. I don't want to write a book. I want a book. I want my name on it. I want to use it to sell with. Don't want to go through the process of writing it. Other people want to go through the process of writing, but they really don't know how.
Right.
So understanding the difference. Okay, so this is an ideal customer profile question, right?
Right.
So who is my customer? Is it somebody who just wants a book, or is it somebody who really wants to write a book and doesn't know how? There's a difference. My ideal customer is not everybody who wants a book.
Yeah.
Right? So now I can say, if you really want a book and you want to write it, but you don't know how, I have a process to walk you through it and help you get that book written.
I got another one too. Somebody that's actually written a book and can't figure out where to go with it, whether they want to self-publish it or they've got the book and it's brilliant.
And then they don't know what to do next.
They don't know how to market it. And that's what I'm really good at.
So I'm going to help you get that book marketed the right way.
I'm going to find the ideal publisher.
Okay. So this is a critical part of positioning. If I'm talking about my 3/4 inch bolt that nobody cares about, I'm not talking about value proposition, and I'm not talking to my customer about what they care about. My value proposition is my connection to my customer. It's the way that I can communicate with my customer that enables them to go, this is my favorite thing, right? This is what I want my customers to say. Can you do that for me? Right? So I can't do that with, I have a bolt, and it's the coolest bolt. It's 3/4 of an inch. Right? But I can do it with, Liz, I have been watching you struggle with that stupid thing over there that's not staying together. Watch this. Right? So I want to be able to speak to my customers about their problems such that they look at me and say, can you do that for me? The moment they say that, guess what? You have them. So we really want to use language that matters to them. They don't care how many buttons it takes to get from here to here. They just want to know you can get them from the here to there easily. Is it easy? Okay, cool. Will my customers be able to do it? Okay, cool. Will my salespeople actually fill it in? Cool. Talk to me about the problems that I have and the things that I worry about. This is what ideal customer, value proposition is about. And you cannot be well positioned in the marketplace or with your customer if you cannot have those conversations. Okay, I want to talk about positioning a little differently now. I want to talk about if you have a complex sale, which a handful of you did. I really want to talk for a moment about being positioned with the right people in the buying process to be successful. So for some of you, what you sell, you will sell to one person. You still need to be really clear about your positioning and your value proposition. You need to understand them and understand what's important to them. But if you have a product that sells for 20, 30, 50, 100,000, 200,000, $1 million, there are going to be multiple people involved in that buying decision. And you may find that you have a whole host of people that you need to build relationships with in order for this sale to be successful. And what you need to do is position yourself appropriately with each one of those people that's involved in the buying decision. So there may be this entire org chart and maybe all of the people are involved. You're going to need to know who and what. What do you need to know about each one of them?
What their role is, what they do.
What their role is, what they do, and what
level of decision making.
How important, what level are they in the decision making? How much authority do they have?
What would a win be for them?
What would a win be for them? What this bigger problem that the company has,
What's their individual?
how does that impact them individually? What's their individual problem? What's their individual goals? What their individual results do they need? And then from that, we can develop wins. And Rusty's speaking my language because that is about win results. So I'm back to understanding my buyer. I like this particular slide because they're all different people, right? So when we're talking about, one way to talk about the different kinds of buying influences, there's lots of ways to do it. This is the Miller-Heiman terminology, but there are lots of different ways to have this conversation. But there are people who have the final authority. So I need to understand what matters to that kind of person. Are they the CEO or the CFO or the COO? Are they somebody who is looking at bigger issues, bigger questions, return on investment? They might have totally different issue than the person who's going to be using it day to day. How I talk to them and what I talk to them about is going to change. My value proposition for the person, the CEO, the CFO, the COO is going to be really different than the technician who's using the technology day to day. Or maybe it's somebody like the IT person or the purchasing agent or an attorney who's involved in the buying decision. How I talk to that person is going to be really different than how I talk to the CEO because the things that matter to them, how they win, what is successful, what will make them successful is really different. So not only do I need a value proposition in general, I need to think back about all of these different people in the buying process, how I need to position myself with them, what matters to them, what things I need to talk to them about, how I'm going to build a relationship with them. That's positioning in a complex sale is critical. So some of the things that you might want to ask yourself when you're thinking about a complex sale is, do you have the right contacts? We always joke about, oh, I got a guy. And the guy said, we're going to do this next Thursday. I got a guy. That got a guy is not being well positioned in that complex sale, right? So do I have the right contacts? Do I have all of them? Can I find out who more of the right contacts are? How can I make relationships with them? What do I know about these different contacts, about what matters to them, what they're worried about, what's working, what's not working? What can I do to get to know them better? Why would they want to get to know me? How am I going to position myself with them so that I'm someone they want to meet? What are they interested in? How can I add value to their busy day? If I want to be positioned effectively with all of these different people, I need to think about all of these different questions. Okay, so that is positioning. So we've talked about positioning in terms of who and why people buy, who buys and why they buy. We've talked about positioning in terms of market positioning. We've talked about positioning now in terms of a complex sale and the different buying influences. And now I'm going to talk about positioning in terms of the funnel. Like I said, this may be not what you think about when you think about positioning in sales, but truly your funnel is the heart and soul of your business. And I think it's one of the places that we tend to think, oh, that's okay. I'll just watch and see what's coming through. But if you are running a business and you have salespeople out there and they're selling and you're thinking this is some magical, mystical thing happening and I'm just waiting to see what comes out the bottom, then it's really hard to run your business, because when stuff comes out the bottom of your funnel, meaning they actually purchase, what happens? What do you have to do? I have to deliver. And what if I have hired a bunch of people to support delivery and nothing comes out the bottom of the funnel? Oh, that's really bad. That's a really bad position to be in. But the opposite can happen. What happens if your sales team's like, oh, I'm not sure when that'll happen. That'll happen in January. Oh, 50%, 30% chance it'll close. And then they all close. Now what happens? You can't deliver what your sales team just sold. So understanding this funnel, how it works, how sales move through that process is really critical. So I'm going to just share with you a little bit about a funnel. And this, I'm going to give you like the 2-minute version of this. I could spend 6 weeks talking to you about your funnel. This is one of my favorite topics. So notice it's not a pipeline that goes like this. It's a funnel that goes like this. And the reason is that chances are you're not closing everything that comes in the top of your funnel. And if you are, your business goes like this. It'll give you a headache, right? So what we want to do is figure out, okay, all this stuff comes in the top of the funnel. We qualify out the stuff that's not really going to buy. Then we work through with the things that we think are well qualified, and some of those fall out. The timeline changes, the budget goes away, people leave the company, it's not really a good fit. And then we get down to this verify area down to close, where we actually are saying, okay, at least 1 out of 2 of these is going to close. We've got a 90% chance or an 80% chance that this is going to close in our favor. Probably 100% chance it's going to close, but maybe not with us. But probably a pretty good chance at this point that they're going to close with us because we've done the work throughout the process. So this is how our funnel works, and we ought to be able to figure out what is the sales math that supports our funnel that enables us to have the right number of leads close at the right time. So we know, what do we have to put in the top? So I want to know, how much sales revenue do I need? How many sales would compose that? If I need $6 million in sales, is that 10 sales or is that 50 sales? And then I want to know how many leads need to be at each stage. Is it 30 at the top and 10 in qualify and 5 in verify and 2 in close? Like, I need to know how many should be in each one so I can look and go, oh, we don't have enough in the top of the funnel. We're going to be in trouble in 6 months. I want to know how many sales qualified leads I need in the qualifying section in order to get the right number of leads out the bottom, and what the timeline is to make that happen. I need to know, if I have a marketing team, how many marketing qualified leads I need to get that many sales qualified leads to get that many sales at the bottom. And I need to know what activities are going to support this. So now when I'm looking at my funnel, it's not magical, mystical. It's kind of logical and mathematical, and I can figure it out. Your positioning in terms of the funnel is critical. It's critical to the success of your business. So if we only think about the part of how are we going to talk to our customers, how are we going to position ourselves, what's our value proposition, and we stop, we're going to have a problem. We really need to make sure that our sales funnel is well managed and we know how we're positioned at any given time to deliver the results that we need to keep the business going, and that we have the right number of staff to support what's being sold. So that's what I have for you today on positioning. I'm open for, I don't know how much longer we have, but if anybody has questions.
So 10 minutes for questions? Go ahead,
I
Eric.
don't want to- So what's the difference between a sales qualified lead and a marketing qualified lead?
So it depends on your company.
Okay.
But often a marketing qualified lead is somebody who downloaded something or had a couple of interactions on the website, and they maybe aren't really somebody who's ready to buy, but they've done enough activity that marketing identifies them as a potential lead. A sales qualified lead is the things, you know, they have a budget, they have a need, they're a good fit with what we're doing.
Thank you, that's great.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
How about things like they don't have a need, but the customer buys it anyway, like cigarettes or alcohol or things that are not, they have no logical reason, they just people buy them.
I do not know how to answer that. In their mind, they have a need or a want or a desire or an opportunity. Maybe they started smoking because it was an opportunity to look really cool.
He's probably referring to Apple, where Steve Jobs used to say, you don't know what you need until I tell you. Now
That's different.
it's different, it's incredibly rare.
But it's
And timing is everything.
timing is everything. But how many people in this room believe that they have a product to sell that their customers probably don't even realize they need? I know I do. Right? So that makes, it's real easy. I need tennis shoes. I'm going to go play tennis and mine are dead. I need new golf shoes. I've had them for 8 years, right? So that's easy. I can actually identify that need. But what happens if I'm building a business and I need more sales, but I really don't know what to do about that or how one goes about that? Then I have to go into that customer and say, hey, let me help you understand how you can make that happen. But they don't know what they need is me. But they need me. They just don't know yet that they need me. So a lot of us are selling things that are new ideas. They're Apple ideas. They're changing the way people think. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to help the customer along and position your message. You know, aren't you unnerved by this? Or wouldn't you like to do this easier? What have you? And that's part of awareness. Again, it's easy for Apple now because they can throw a wave of money at it. But at the beginning, when they first started with their computers, right, the question was, why do I need a Mac when a PC's half the price? They both essentially do the same thing. Apple had to literally not attack PCs and at the same time say, this is why you need us.
Why do I need an MP3 player or an iPod? I didn't even know I needed that. I need to carry my music around with me, really? I didn't even know I needed that, right? But this is that thing that I was talking about. If instead of talking about what I sell, I talk about the problem you have, you need more sales. Yeah. I can help you fix that.
Or wouldn't you like to listen to music while you were walking or running?
Yeah. So now, you know, does your CD, remember, I'm not walking with the CD in it. I'm running and what's happening? It's skipping, right? So, you know, now I can talk to you about, you have this problem, the music's skipping, your CDs are getting ruined. Here's a way to do this that is way better, right? And here's why it's better. And by the way, you can have all your music. You don't have to just have one CD with you. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't even know that was a possibility. But can you do that for me? Right? Can you do that for me? So the way you get people to understand that you have a solution to something they didn't know was a problem is when you introduce it in such a way that they look at you and go, oh, can you do that for me? Can you make that happen? Can you make my life easier? Yeah.
You either solve a problem or create an experience. Apple is creating an experience when they sell their products. They can now provide, allow yourself to have the convenience of this, and this, all working together. Wow, sounds nice.
Yeah, and people want different things. We could all drive a Honda Accord, but we don't. A Honda Accord is a perfectly good vehicle. It does everything a person could ever need a car to do, except it doesn't have four-wheel drive. But so you could drive, I have a Honda Cross Tour. It does have four-wheel drive. It does everything a person could need it to do, right? So why doesn't every single person drive a Cross Tour?
Perceived value.
Because we need and want different things. I don't have time for this whole story, but once upon a time I went shopping for a car with my stepmom, and she had this criteria. It has to be red, has to be a convertible, has to have PEP, has to have a cup holder. Right? And this was before cup holders were prolific. But it was, like it didn't, nothing else mattered. That was what she felt would solve the problem she had. All right, are we out of time?
No, we've got 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Yeah.
How do you determine the price for the customer? Just like you say, the cars have different prices from 50,000 all the way down to.
So Mark Stiving is my friend who's the pricing expert. We'll give him a plug right now. Price depends on 2 really important components. One is, what do I have to charge in order for me to have a business that is profitable and successful? And it doesn't matter what the customer will pay if I can't deliver, cannot get a price that makes my business work, then I don't have a business. The other question is, what will someone pay for what I'm delivering? And a lot of that has to do with your value proposition and how you position it. So price is dependent on a lot of things, and I'm just not a pricing expert, but those are the 2 things that I would say are critical. Meg, you had a question too?
Yes, so you use the 2 sides of the word need and want. So when you are looking out into the marketplace and you are going through that entire process, where does the need and the want get differentiated in there?
Well, I think it depends on what you're selling, right? So some of us sell to want, some of us sell to need. Some of us sell to opportunity. Like, you may not even realize you could be doing this. Oh my gosh, I could be doing that? That's a huge opportunity. So I don't think that there's necessarily a right answer. If I'm selling tennis shoes, then I could sell to need, and then I could sell to want. So I could sell a $45 or $60 pair of tennis shoes, or I could sell a $150 pair of tennis shoes, or $200 pair of tennis shoes. And clearly we're moving somewhere beyond need into want. We get over to $250, and that has to do with prestige and, whatever other things are impacting that. But I think it depends on what you sell and who you're selling to. Who's your ideal customer profile, right? Who's your ideal customer? So if my ideal customer is the guys on the tennis court who are willing, on the basketball court, who are willing to pay $200 for their tennis shoes because that makes them fit in, then that's what they need. It depends on what I'm selling and who I'm selling to. I just don't think it's a simple, but it's a good question. We all need to be thinking about. Yeah.
So it strikes me that even in a widget or a bolt company or whatever, a lot of what you're talking about is based on an emotional need. And I'm wondering, in kind of high-end, huge companies, how do people? I'm guessing that people don't identify with that. They think it's woo-woo or something like that. It's like, but everybody, that's what drives everything.
Right. So again, what you sell and who you sell it to matters. So if I sell 3/4-inch bolts to this manufacturing company and I sell it all day long, and then somebody else comes in to compete with me, what story are they going to have to tell that makes the company who's been buying from me for 10 years switch from buying 3/4-inch bolts from me to buying them from somebody else? And so then I have to explore different kinds of needs and wants.
Right, so that could be like, our bolt takes plastic out of the ocean, or our bolt is made out of organic steel, or our bolt is got a 200-year family history, or whatever.
Or we have a technology that allows you to order your bolts in time so you never run out. So it just depends on what matters to those people. So if they don't care that it takes plastic out of the ocean, you could say it all day long and it's not going to change their buying decision, right? So there's no simple answer. It all goes back to who are you selling to and what's your value proposition. If my value proposition, I want to go back to the guy on the motorcycle, right? On the Harley. If my value proposition doesn't match what matters to them, what they value, I'm not going to sell. There's a mismatch. So what I have to do is figure out, what problem can I solve? If I can't solve a problem, I'm probably not going to make a sale. And again, it could be an opportunity. Maybe they don't know they have a problem yet. Maybe there's an opportunity for things to get better, but there's got to be something that's going to make their world better.
But you can also have more than one customer persona.
I could have many customer personas, yes.
How do you recommend finding your ideal customer, like your ideal customer in regards to market research, and how do you survey them or collect that information?
You call a marketing company. There are lots of ways to do it. One is you can identify who you think your ideal customer profile would, who your ideal customer would be. See if you know anybody, or if you know anybody who know people like that, and then ask them if they'd be willing to spend a few minutes answering some questions for you. That would help you identify whether your messaging would fit with what they're doing.
Okay.
But many big companies hire marketing firms to go do that research and figure it out. They don't always do it right, by the way.
The marketing firms?
Yeah. Mostly they do, but not always.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Liz. That was great. I want to thank you all for coming. Next month, we have Kevin Lyons in the room today. He's going to be speaking on pitch decks, product market fit, and he's going to do an Ask Me Anything segment. So with Kevin, if you ask him anything, you can get any kind of answer. You have to be prepared.
Pedialyte for hangovers.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some good tips next month too. Okay, so that'll be the second Wednesday of July. Do you know what day it is? The 11th, maybe? Anybody know? Second Wednesday, whatever it is.
I don't. I think it's the 11th.
No, because that would put it, no, it's the 10th. It's the 10th. Okay, thank you all for coming. Oh, Lou is doing headshots in the other room. You can do a headshot with retouching, really professional retouching for $85. That's a great deal. That's a really good deal.